Hey everybody, this is Sarah, and you're listening to the Medium Curious Podcast, the show that wants you to feel how truly everything is interconnected and how important you are in that web of connection. And it's just me today. It's Sarah Sunday solo. And quite honestly, I'm just trying to make sense of everything, and I'm going to take you along for the ride. We generally try to keep things pretty light and bright over here on Medium Curious, even though quite often what we're talking about includes loss and grief. But I think it's pretty safe to say that we're all feeling the intensity of living in crazy times. We're witnessing incredible atrocities and cruelty, selfishness and power-hungry greed. Yet so many of us are waking up to the fact that we are more than just the physical and that we're energetic beings. I heard recently that we have just entered the age of intuition. And that feels really exciting to me. And this Medium Curious crew, I know, is a sensitive and compassionate bunch and feels things so deeply, yet we have our intuition and we have superpowers. We can feel and sense energy, and we can hold the perspectives of the reality that we want manifested. Plus, we all have the ability to tune into the love and the compassion of the spirit world, and that can offer us so much support and encouragement. Jane's Sunday solo last Sunday, brought us beautiful ways that we can soothe ourselves and find safety in our own bodies so that we can in turn comfort others. I ended up listening to it at 2 a.m. after waking up with my heart pounding. So I really needed that episode, Jane. It really was truly very helpful to me. And so today I just want to add on to that. And I also want to talk about the ripple effect, how everything is interconnected in the 3D world and how that connection extends into the unseen world too, or more, that the unseen world interconnection extends into the 3D world. I'm going to share how I anchor the light because I really believe that the way we regulate and hold the field is a part of the medicine that we need right now. And I want to build upon what Jane gave us so graciously last week and share what I've been getting from my guides, because I keep hearing the same thing over and over again, that we need to be calibrating our nervous systems right now, and that these times are requiring it of us. And that when we're calibrated, we have the capacity for more awareness, for more light, for more compassion, for more love, and we can actually better serve the greater good. So Jane brought up the idea of Earth School last week, the fact that we all signed up for this wild ride and that we're here to learn lessons, and not all of them being easy. And I find a lot of comfort in that because it means that what we're living through is not meaningless and it's not random. And if anything, it's getting tucked away as important learning. And one of the big lessons that has been coming in loud and clear for me, and I know for so many of you too, is that we are so interconnected. The joint episode that Jane and I put out 2 weeks ago, as we were recording it, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. Jane started telling the exact story I was about to tell. That experience of knowing that we were being led to an encounter we were meant to have. We were both going to a coffee shop and knowing that we weren't meeting our person there, we might meet them at a nursery. I mean, it just blew my mind as she was telling me this, and how it brought us to the same answer, which is that we are all connected. That's so wild to me. I mean, that's so wild that was the exact summary of what that experience led us to. And it's almost like the matrix is super thin right now. Like the fabric between things is stretched so that we can kind of see through it, like Truman World-ish. And everything is lining up in a way where we're all having these like synchronistic twinsy experiences. I had a client or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, share a story with me, and she was like dumbfounded, couldn't believe it. And then I added to that, and she had been having the name Benjamin Button pop up multiple times in a tight time frame. Like it was an answer on Jeopardy while she was also seeing it referenced somewhere else at the same time. And that's not a really common name, Benjamin Button, right? And guess what? When she had that experience that same week, I, for the very first time, had never seen it before, watched The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Like, what? See, the Matrix. I can't tell you how often I will think of a word or say it out loud and then see it almost a split second later on the TV or on the podcast or on the radio or written in print. It's like life is saying, pay attention. I had another cool experience about interconnection the other night. I was putting my daughter to bed and we were listening to The Moth, the storytelling podcast. It's so good. It's my favorite. And I was in that liminal space between being kind of half asleep and awake, like where your body's kind of drifting in and out, but your awareness is open. And I feel like that's a place where spirit can get through to me really, really easily. And I honestly, I don't mind. And in that half asleep state, my ex-boyfriend who's in spirit popped into my awareness. And I haven't felt him around in a really long time. And he gave me the really clear feeling of, hey, Sarah, pay attention to what you're just about to hear. And then right as that came into my awareness, the storyteller on the podcast mentioned bow-leggedness, having bow legs. Somebody, I don't even know, I just perked up when I heard that. My ex-boyfriend had bow legs. And it was so him, he was making fun of himself. And so now, I'm tuned in and I was like, okay, what's going on? Do you have a message? And he just came by to say that he was delighted because another close friend of ours from college is taking Jane's Wonder House and is in the Claire Club. And he just wanted me to tell her that he's aware of it and that he's happy about it. And I know that might sound small, but to me, it's huge because it's not just the fact that he is communicating from the other side. It's about interconnection. He was aware of what was coming up in my environment before I was conscious of it. And he is aware of our friend. And that's just a part of this web of relationship that doesn't go away when someone dies. And it makes me think that if everyone could feel how much we're interconnected and how much love is really present, would we still be afraid of the other? Like people from other countries, people with different accents, people with different skin color, people with different beliefs. Because that fear of other feeds separation. And when we overly identify with ourselves as being separate, we lose our power, we lose our sovereignty, and we become victims, and then we victimize. When we don't feel that interconnection, we get fearful. So this interconnection, I've been thinking so much about it these past couple weeks. Sometimes I picture it like air moving through a tree because you can't see the air until the breeze makes the branches sway. It's like energy, something invisible that shapes everything. Because we're not living on separate little islands, folks. We're all breathing the same atmosphere. We're drinking the same water cycle. We're standing on the same planet, the same earth, the same organism that is actually a living organism. It's not just a backdrop to our lives. It's this shared nervous system that we're all plugged into. And when one part of that nervous system is stressed, it doesn't stay localized. It affects everyone, affects all of us. And I think climate is the easiest example of this. Like a warmer ocean in one place changes weather somewhere else, which changes crops and crop prices and migration patterns and policies and politics and everything. Like a drought isn't just a drought. It ripples into supply chains, grocery stores, insurance prices, and people's nervous systems. And then we act surprised when everyone's feeling anxious and edgy and othering each other. I was thinking about COVID. That is impossible to deny. That you guys all remember COVID. It wasn't that long ago. Something so microscopic in one place that moved through airports and workplaces and apartment buildings and subways. And suddenly the whole planet was responding as one organism. And it wasn't just affecting everyone medically. It was affecting supply chain. It was affecting people's mental health and education. And it was really, truly an example of over there is never really over there. It shows up at all of our doorsteps. And with the internet being the way that is, even information works like this now. A headline can change someone's mood, which changes how they show up for the day, which changes how they can treat people, which changes their whole day. Because we're constantly broadcasting emotion. And that can be certainty or outrage or compassion and hope. And the vibe isn't just a vibe. It becomes behavior. And behavior has consequences. And when you zoom out, it all starts to look like mycelium, the underground fungus that travels through the forest, where one tree gets hit and others on all the other trees in the forest start preparing. And actually the word mycelium, as I was thinking about that this week, I heard it on a podcast that I was listening to like an hour after I was thinking about that word. Like, that's crazy interconnection. But that interconnectedness is us. Like one policy, one company decision, one climate event, one war, none of it stays contained. It all ripples. And that's just the 3D world of interconnection. Because if you start factoring in the unseen, the way that spirit connects everything behind the scenes, the way guides and helpers feel woven together, and the way that time doesn't work the way our brains logically conceive of it with the past, present, and future, all the threads that we can't fully conceptualize or prove, it starts to feel like one big tapestry. I think about the story that we shared in, I think, the second season of Medium Curious. My friend Eliza's little boy, Caleb, who's in spirit, was conspiring behind the veil with Carla's little boy, Calder, behind the scenes, with the help of Laura Lynn Jackson to bring those two mamas together. And now we're a little group of medium friends. None of us were mediums at the time. Like, come on. That's not just a sign. That's a whole network. That's connection. It's working behind the scenes in a way that our brains can't really quite compute. It's like we're living in something so vast and intelligent, even when we can only see the 5 feet in front of us. And here's the thing, it's not It's not just doom and gloom, this ripple effect. It's also how healing can spread, how one person who's regulated and chooses presence over panic can stabilize a household, and how a household choosing kindness can change a community. You guys all know that I'm a professional classical musician, so it's totally an orchestra thing, right? Like if I'm playing my part in an orchestra and I've got it down, I'm contributing to the overall beauty and the complete sound of a gorgeous piece of music. However, if like I'm playing out of tune and I'm not playing in rhythm and I'm messing up like the timing, it's going to throw the whole thing off. I don't control the entire sound of the orchestra from where I'm sitting, but my notes still matter. So you matter too, your steadiness and your honesty and your willingness to be open and not pretending that you have to know how everything works and have all the answers. That's a ripple too. Lately, my guides have been repeating something else to me, that we need to expand our capacity for light. They keep showing me that those of us who can sense the field, who know that love is real, who know that we're connected, that we're meant to be anchoring it right now, grounding into our humanness, staying present in our bodies, and expanding our light, which to me means like just emanating love, but not love as a concept, love as a field, love as a frequency, which means fiercely loving our neighbors and our communities and nature and the environment and ourselves. And I want to be super clear about this. I'm not just saying send love and positive thoughts and do nothing else, because we need action and we need engagement. We need accountability. We need people making calls. We need people showing up. We need people writing letters, documenting, peacefully organizing, protesting, observing, protecting each other. All of that matters. We just need to be doing it from the frequency of radical love and not fear. Love for the other, not the fear of the other. I'm going to share something that came through for me again a couple nights ago, not because I found it scary or it freaked me out, but because it came through very clearly. And I feel like it's kind of a mandate. As I was falling asleep, I had my eyes closed and it was like I was suddenly inside a car and it was crashing into a tree. Not in like a scary horror movie kind of way, but more like, hey, pay attention. And I knew immediately who it was. It was my uncle who had died in a car accident. And he knew exactly what to do to get my attention, to snag me. And actually, I've never really connected with him one-on-one before. So I tuned in and I asked, hey, uncle, what are you trying to tell me? But my uncle, I never met him. I didn't know him in person. He crossed over when he was 26, a year before I was born. But he's been showing up for me in spirit for as long as I've been doing this work. And it was actually Jane who brought him through for the very first time for me. And that was actually my very first reading that I ever had. And at the time I was like, why am I like hearing from my uncle? But it turns out that like he's shown up over and over with so much wisdom and insight into my life. And I didn't know this about him until I started getting readings. But I came to understand that he was actually an activist. My dad's birthday, his brother, was the very first Vietnam lottery draft. And apparently my uncle was really deeply involved and outspoken, really engaged in pushing back against the Vietnam War. And I had no idea about this until Spirit started filling in the dots. So when he showed up the other night, I asked, okay, what do you need to tell me now? And I heard one word, and it was resist. And this didn't land as fear, but it landed more like clarity, like an instruction from his vantage point. Like, this is a moment in time that matters. You're here for a reason. And I don't feel afraid because of this message. If anything, it just reminds me that we're in the midst of big change. And another message that I keep hearing is holding the field matters. Becky Bradley, she was on our podcast. We put out a joint podcast together. I don't know, several months ago. And she had just gotten this message from her daughter with the words exactly. And her Kira is in spirit. And the message was, hold the field. And that is what we need to be doing. You all have probably heard of the Maharishi effect, right? It's the idea that when a critical mass of people meditate together, it can create a collective field, like a coherence. You can measure the reduction of stress in the surrounding communities. And there's another related study that I think is super cool. It was a study that explored random number generators, machines that are supposed to behave like pure chance. And they studied them during a live group meditation at a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat. And the researchers compared the devices in the room with a global network of similar machines. And they reported that during the healing meditations, the patterns became unusually correlated. And that's something that they did not see during the normal lectures, the breaks, or the lunches, or the other parts of the retreat. So isn't that fascinating? That coherent, emotionally regulated, collective intention, especially with compassion, might ripple outward beyond individuals' bodies and have an effect, an impact. And Jane described this so beautifully in her solo practices to help get you into your body and to calm your nervous system down, quick little hacks for resetting. And I find it so helpful listening to all kinds of different people describe the same concepts in their own unique way, because sometimes one person's language just lands differently and helps something click for a certain individual, or for yourself, or for me. So I'm going to share how I do this. And for me, this is about anchoring the light, but it's also about how I get into that in-between space, that bridge between my physical body and the spirit world. It's the bridge between feeling myself, and the feeling of love of the greater consciousness and the interconnectedness of all that is. It's the bridge between my individuality and blending into true unconditional love. That's like love with a capital L. And when I can come back to that place in myself, regulated, steady, and connected, I'm able to let the love I'm receiving from the divine move through me, not from my personal energy, not from my own willpower, but as something that I'm plugged into, and something that I can transmute, and something I can feel expanding throughout my field. And I can't help but wonder about the implications if enough of us are doing this together on purpose. Like, what's possible? when a whole bunch of regulated nervous systems are broadcasting compassion at the same time? Like, what shifts? Not just inside of us, but around us. So I do this by combining my breath with my imagination. So much of energy work is done with our imaginations. So it's like becoming comfortable with that. So I pull up the earth energy. I call in light from the divine above me, and I bring it, both that light from below and above, into my core, and then I expand outward. And I use it to raise my vibration. I use it to feel energetically protected and to spread love and positive energy into the space around me. So I'll explain this again in more detail. I imagine sending roots down into the earth, and on my inhale, I pull up nurturing, beautiful, gorgeous earth energy into my core. And then I also do the same from above. As above, so below. So I imagine a beautiful light above me from the divine, millions and billions and trillions of gorgeous, stunning light particles. And I inhale them in through the top of my head. I imagine myself breathing in this beautiful, gorgeous, stunning light and allowing it to fill me up. And as it's mingling with all of my light particles, I'm aware that this is the light of the divine, and this is the light of spirit, and this is the light of love, and this is what I have in common with spirit. And I allow the light energy that I've pulled up from the earth and the energy that I've pulled in from above to form this big, beautiful core of light in my solar plexus and heart chakra. And then with each breath in and each breath out, I allow that ball of light to expand as big as it wants to get and as large as it wants to be, as long as it feels good to me, knowing that this is within my energy field, within my sovereign energetic bubble. And I can do this anywhere, at any time, in any place. It's like plugging in from below and from above and gathering it into a sphere of the purest love inside, and then letting that love expand out into the world. So I'm doing this in tandem with other people with the intention of compassion and peace and love. It gets so powerful. And here's another tip. Try this whenever you're out in the world, whenever you're trying to set the temperature in a room or situation, but don't use your own personal energy. Don't drain your own battery trying to hold it all. Pull up that earth energy from your feet and pull in that divine light from above. Use that energy as support to broadcast love outward. Sonia Coquette teaches a version of this that I love that's so simple and easy to do. You take in a nice big deep breath in and then smile as you exhale slowly and say, ah. Doesn't it feel so good? And when I think about it, this is exactly how I connect into the greater consciousness. This is how I connect to spirit. It's like plugging into the central nervous system of all that is, the greater consciousness. And that to me is love. And what if everybody could feel this? I'm not always able to get into this state, however, and that's why, like Jane was talking about last week, it's really important to be resourced, to have our people, to know who to call when we can't access it on our own. And sometimes we need somebody else's regulated nervous system to help us find ours again. Because whatever action we take from this place, the state of love and steadiness and connection, that's the state that we manifest our future from. Not from fear, not from anger, not from desperation, not from overwhelm. It's from this feeling of being held from above and below and plugged into a greater system that supports us. And I really believe that acting from this place together is what we're being called to do right now, because that's anchoring the light and that's expanding our capacity to hold the light. It's radical love. I'm putting it out there because we need it right now. We need it to organize, to encourage each other, to inspire each other, to strengthen each other. And also celebrate each other's individuality, which is actually essential to the interconnectedness that we all belong to. All right, that's all from me for now, dear listeners. You could really help us out by sharing this with friends if you find this helpful, and downloading it, rating it. It's a lot of work putting out this podcast. We love doing it, but if we need help growing it, we can't do that on our own. So we need your help to get it interconnected. But until next time, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. Lots of love. Bye. Very Soul is our sponsor for Medium Curious. Jane and I are both Very Soul mediums.
Oh, yes, we are. Verysoul.com, y'all. Inspired by spirit, guided by love, and brought to life by mediums.